Welcome to the Mobile Workforce Podcast, where we sit down and have real conversations with business leaders that have been where you are. During these interviews, we'll dive into what it takes to improve systems and champion processes that maximize performance. Each week, our trailblazing guests share their experiences and understanding of the workforce to help inspire change, challenge our thinking, and share what it takes to successfully travel the road to profitability. Now here's our host, co-founder and chief evangelist of About Time and WorkMax, Mike Merrill.
Hello and welcome to the Mobile Workforce Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Merrill, and today we're sitting down with my longtime friend, Cameron Cranford. Cameron is the Director of Technology at BakerTriangle, who is an E&R top 10 wall and ceiling company with a division specializing in panelized prefab walls and also heavy into construction. So in today's episode Cameron and I are going to talk about prefab, the technology behind it, and what it has done for BakerTriangle, and also why it's so important for all construction today using prefab. So Cam, thanks for joining us on the show today. Looking forward to our conversation.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You bet. Now, you and I have known each other for a long time. Where do we meet, and how do we get here?
Yeah. So I think we met probably about it was at least 10 to 12 years ago. You came on site to do a software sales pitch and kind of nailed it out of the park. You had a very signature move that I guess you probably don't do anymore, but it sold I think it sealed the deal for you, for us.
Oh, I do it. I still do it. What are you talking about? What's this move? What's this move you're talking about, Cameron?
So you do this little toe tab, you jump in the air, splits and everything right in the middle of the air, and I mean it's impressive. I'm not gonna lie, it's impressive. Not many people can jump like that. I think we probably should see you jump like that.
Well, that'll be our next episode. Yeah.
But it's been a great time. We started out. We purchased the About Time, and we started from there and kind of grew together. It's from starting that was probably at least 12 years ago that we started working with that and building the relationship and just increasing, bettering the product and bettering the environment or, technology and construction industry.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It has been a lot of fun. It's been fun to watch. I'm a big consumer of LinkedIn. I'm on there all the time, and I notice like every day there's people getting awards for being at BakerTriangle for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 25 years. I mean, you guys really have something cool going on there with your culture. Before we get into the prefab discussion, what is it about BakerTriangle that makes it the type of company that it is? Because you're not just a drywall contractor down the street in Mesquite, Texas, right?
Correct. Yep. So yeah, we're all over Texas. We've done work in numerous states or around the United States. The biggest thing is our culture here. It is we have numerous employees that have been here. I think we have 5 right now over 45 years. We have numerous ones. I actually, me personally, get my 15 years next month. So we actually had we have a plaque when you walk in. We had to increase it. It holds over 100 names. We actually had to buy another one because it only goes up to 15 years. We had to add another one for more employees that have been here a long time. So that's one thing is we have a lot of people that have been here a very long time, which speaks volumes. We you got to take care of your people, and now it's one of the biggest things here is we take care of one another. It is definitely a family environment of in construction. Construction's high stress, high pace a lot of times, and we kind of lean on each other to help each other out, both in each location, not just your next door person, your party next door. Different offices come out and help out one each other all the time.
Yeah, I love that, and I think and the prefab discussion fits in the same line of thinking. You're a little unique in that way too. I mean, a lot of drywall contractors don't get into this stuff the way that Baker does. Let's just talk about that a little bit. What exactly is prefab for those that maybe aren't familiar with it firsthand?
Sure. So prefabs, basically in simple terms, it's related construction. And it's we're taking basically, we're fabricating building products or components away from the job site. So we're doing it in a factory setting, and we build it into, we're having a yard or warehouse. We've taken several different components, building it all together. So you got your studs, when you build a wall, you got your studs, sheetrock, everything else. We build it off site, and then we truck it inside and install it. So it comes in as a whole complete unit instead of, individual parts and pieces that you got to put together on the job site.
Yeah, that's amazing. I've got to imagine that there's a safety component that you pick up there, quality control, right? You got a controlled environment. What are some other reasons why prefab is a great idea?
Yeah, so like you just mentioned, safety right off the bat. You're not having all these other people step on each other. There's not things going around everywhere. There's not all these other different trades. It's just like an assembly line. So you're doing one task and all these other tasks going around you. Second, we can look at all the materials before they're installed. So quality control is key. We take pictures of everything beforehand, afterhand, so you can see the product before and after. And third, the speed of, I can enclose buildings or get things installed a lot quicker compared to trying to shove several people into a small space. And also materials, right now, everyone's feeling it, the material shortage of, COVID and all the other stuff of getting, yes, you can get materials, but at what cost? And is it actually going to be a quality product that you're going to get in as well?
Yeah, and it's funny, this just popped into my mind. I've never really thought about this before, but also when you mention material costs, I don't think it's a real common issue, or not necessarily in all parts of the country, but theft sometimes could be a problem, where if you prefab off-site and bring it and install it and put it in, it's not going to walk off the job as it would a bunk of 100 sheets of drywall, right?
Exactly. Like copper is very common for both plumbers and electricians. That's how easy it is as a roll of 12 gauge wire to walk off. You know what I mean? The stuff like that, or even 10 foot sticks of copper or whatnot, that easily can walk off. Where versus, unless they're going to cut it out of the sheetrock and everything else, you know what I mean? It's one complete piece. So I know I have 400 pieces of 10-foot copper. I know they're there and they're installed. I'm not like, oh, well, we lost some. Oh, well, I don't know where it went.
So that brings up another great point. So when you're prefabbing a wall like that, are there sleeves of copper and other things that you're putting in those as you go, and what does that look like?
So yeah, it depends on some of the jobs, but yeah, it's like I mentioned before, it's like an assembly line. So we put the sheetrock, we put the studs up, everything else. Then we might have a plumber coming around we'll start with a good example like hospital head walls or bathroom pods. So you get the frame structure up, then the plumber comes in, the actual sub that is on the job, not our sub. It's the sub that's going to be installing it on the project as well. He'll have his guys there. They install, whatever copper fittings, so forth like that. Then it gets passed down to electrician. Same thing. It's the electrician on the site. He runs his wire, hooks up switches, all that, gets that all pre-wired up. Then he passes down the line. Then we sheetrock it, do the tape bed finish, and then the plumber does his final fixtures. And then we heat shrink it up, put it on the trailer, truck it on site, slide it in place, bolt it, get it inspected. They do their final hookups, and you're done. So the quality control, like you mentioned before earlier, everything's the same. You're not, when you do that big order, and we're doing this months before you even need it ready. So when you're like, hey, we're sealed in, we can start bringing those units in right away. So it speeds the process up significantly.
It's truly amazing. I mean, honestly, I was a general contractor. You know some of my history. We self-performed. It's truly amazing to me. It blows my mind that we're able to do these types of things today from going back 20, 30 years ago. It's awesome. And I'm just, applaud your guys' effort in leading the charge in this type of innovation to build better and quicker and more efficiently.
Yeah, we're being more efficient. There's less waste on the job. They're not doing all. We maximize as much as we can now. We have multiple CNC machines and different things that cut out shapes exactly to how we need and stuff. We figure out we got 8x11 sheet or 8x10 sheet, and we can figure out what we got to cut out of it and do to minimize waste on the job and everything else.
Wow, that's incredible. So how long has BakerTriangle been involved in prefab work?
So it's a little mixture of both. We started kind of doing VDC BIM work first, and that kind of roped us into the prefab. We started about in early 2010. We started it actually to do clash detection with other trades. So where the electrical is coming in at the mechanical contractor, so forth like that, to see where we would have issues of, oh, well, we put this firewall up, mechanical contractor has to come back and do this and stuff. So, and this is before, the building has even poured concrete. So this was a very, very early stage in the whole thing. And it slowly developed into, well, we already got the design right here. Why don't we just start making this? And, we started out from, we did hospital head walls and stuff like that. They're always, a hospital has 400 rooms of the same. Why can't we do this? So we started from there. And like I said, it developed from first at VDC BIM to all the way up to that.
That's amazing. So are there some other trades in construction that you see commonly using the same approach?
I'm trying to think off the top of my head right now. I know a lot of the bathroom pods. I know that's a big thing now. Is having those pretty much prefabbed in, ready to go to install. I've seen them done in office buildings before, because usually around the elevator corridors and stuff like that, they'll have and it's all the same going all the way up. Hotels is another one. I've seen those built in as well.
Well, and you're dealing with exterior walls too, right? So do you have contractors that are putting that stuff up, or have you adapted your business to do more of those exteriors as well?
Yes, so we've done so. It's kind of gone through this whole chain of events, and now we're doing. We started about 5-6 years ago. We started doing exterior wall panels, both metal, brick, everything else. We had a couple architects reach out to us and said, hey, we want to kind of do this design, so forth like that. And we said, yeah, let's run with it and see what we can do. So we started out with that. We've gone through, we've done numerous buildings now, especially ones that they're not just, just continuous all the way up. It has special designs. A good one is Aloft down in Austin. But yeah, they have, metal panels, thin brick on them, numerous different shapes. We cut in windows and all that to help, close the building in, so then the trades can come in and start, building out faster.
Wow. And I'm in Utah. I know you're in Mesquite, Texas, near the Dallas-Fort Worth area. But weather is a factor in all construction. So you're controlling the weather situation too, right?
Yes. Yep. Yeah. And that's what we took the approach. We looked up north, New York and all that. That's a big thing for them, is the weather. So how fast can we close this building in so we can get people inside to do the work? So we kind of took that approach of, right now it's kind of a tornado season. We had some here last week out in Paris, Texas, which is north of us. And it's a Texas weather. You wait 30 minutes and it changes. I mean, yesterday it was 85 degrees, and right now it's 55 degrees right now. So, and then tomorrow will be 75. That's just part of it here in beautiful Texas. So I always say, just wait a little bit and it will change.
Well, that's awesome. So I got to say, and I'm sure the listeners are thinking this too, because again, me as a general contractor, when I'm thinking of the drywaller, so to speak, just as a term that did my work, I mean, none of them were doing anything like this. What is it about BakerTriangle that drives you all to be so progressive and so just cutting edge on technology adoption, not only in prefab, but I know, because again, we have a software relationship in history also. You guys have always been super, super leading edge on all this stuff. Like, you were doing everything before anybody was doing anything, it seems like.
Yeah. Yep. So Steve, which is the founder of Baker Drywall, he's huge, big on, I want to be, bleeding edge, ahead of the curve. What new methods can we do? We're, like you mentioned before, that we're not just, sheetrock and that's it. We do metal panels on the sides of buildings, curtain systems, Lutron special lighting, curtains. I mean, we do all kinds of stuff. We kind of branch out to see how we can be more efficient in certain ways, and just to be ahead of the curve by everything. We want to be that leading factor across the nation of, hey, can we come visit you to come see how you do this? Because we've been doing it for the last 5 years, 10 years. And like you mentioned before earlier, that software relationship, construction, unfortunately, has been behind the times with technology compared to other industries, finance and all that. And, a lot of these other companies, when they first, we first started heavily investing into, iPads and all that, they saw what we did and they said, well, hey, we can, if they're doing it, then, we can do it and speed up. That was one of the biggest things we moved over to, the timekeeping attendance with y'all 10 years ago, is because we wanted to be more efficient, and it significantly helped out a ton. But yeah, that's one of our key factors in culture is, how can we make this more efficient, smarter, faster type thing? There's no, blinders on. We can do as much research, and we can invest the time and energy to figure out there is a better way to do something, and test it out. There's no such thing as failure. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, I love that. And you're not afraid to try new things or to necessarily be the pioneer that's leading the charge versus so many companies that are waiting around for 10 other people to, they say this phrase, we use it sometimes here. It's like the first guy through the door gets shot, so to speak. Like, you gotta be a little cautious when nobody else has done it before. But it just seems like you all have a propensity to go all in and lean forward and work through it. And I feel like you're way ahead of the curve because of that.
Yeah. Like I mentioned before, there's no such thing as a failure. It's a lessons learned. We learn, we better ourselves from it, and we continue down the road. We tried it. That's more than most companies will ever do. Is we tried it. We're not. There's not all that red tape like you mentioned. You gotta. Several people have to convince eventually. No, it's usually one or two, and then let's try it out. What's the worst gonna happen?
Yeah, and I think back to what we were talking about earlier on quality control and safety and all these other benefits to eliminating waste to this the prefab approach, but also you're delivering things on time, on budget. I got to imagine your contractor partners and your owners are so much happier with the final product that you're able to deliver to them. How has that blessed your company because of that?
Yeah. So good example. Like you just mentioned, we have owners that, they're like, hey, we want to look into this. We have some very progressive owners that, hey, we seen you do this. Can you come try this on this job? And it's helped us out significantly. We've closed in and opened up buildings or businesses. One of them right off the bat was a hospital that was 6 months earlier than was proposed to be finished. So to them, guess what? They had people in those beds. They were operating 6 months in advance than they originally were scheduled. So the owner was beyond thrilled, that we were able to speed up the process of, closing in and getting them up and operating.
Well, and actually literally operating, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And, honestly, not to read too far into it, but truly, if you think about that, it's like you just provided healthcare sooner, quicker. You eliminated wait times. You helped people get the care they needed sooner because this drywall contractor from Mesquite, Texas, was progressive and innovative and was a leader in the industry, and lives were blessed because of that. So I think it's just amazing what you all are doing.
Yeah, there's always a lot of cool things. Hey, can you come do this? Or owners and architects come to us all the time. We had meetings with them and saying, hey, we thought of this idea. Is there anything you could run with it and play with it to kind of see, hey, is this possible to do? And if it is, then can we try it on this job?
So do you have some examples of or case studies or situations you could share of how much, you mentioned the hospital 6 months early. That's crazy. Are there any other things that you've noticed in some of your experiences of efficiencies gained?
Yeah. So, we talked about earlier about, safety. We have less people on the job, so their insurance rates are going down and everything else. A good example is bathroom pods. You try to build a bathroom with an electrician in there, a plumber in there, a drywaller, and it's impossible. There's 5 people. It's built off site. You slide it right in. You can't beat the speed on that. And you have, like I mentioned before earlier, you have one person doing all the hookups, not 6 or 7 people. You got to get the material to the job site, run it up there. Does it get there, or does it go to the wrong floor, or the material goes missing? Where this pod just comes through and you install and you're ready to go. So there's less headache, and you can. A good example was another good example. It was another hospital that we did all those pods in. We'd done dorm rooms at colleges the same way, just getting them more, operating faster. to open their doors to the public, or
Yeah, they're truly a cookie cutter. So it sounds like that's what you're doing. You're just inventing a cookie cutter instead of cutting out each cookie, one at a time, right?
correct. Yeah. We're doing a whole sheet. We're not just doing one at a
Yeah,
time.
yeah, right. So what about, I've got to imagine, again, thinking back, putting my hard hat on from my construction days, did you have some doubters originally? Did you have subs that are like, yeah, I could see my subs back then saying, we're not doing that. The electrician's he's not buying in on this idea that he's going to come to my warehouse or my shop to do his part of the job. What have you encountered, and how'd you guys overcome it if you did?
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things is, charting the unknown. And a lot of companies are and it's not necessarily a lot of companies, it's just a lot of people where it can make or break them. That's one of the biggest things. And the fear of the unknown, is it going to play out good for us or not? And at first you might not, you're learning, it's a learning experience, but it's going to pay you dividends later on. With picking up this last time. So trying to, convince owners and the architect, like, hey, we had this thought, we think this is the procedure, we did a little bit of a mock up here. We want you to come see it and just see what you think, and we think we could, do something 3 months earlier or save you 50% here or so forth like that. Getting on that perspective. And then once, typically like this one owner, they saw it and they like, wow, you sped up all this other stuff and was more efficient, or workers' comp insurance, all those other little small things that most people don't think about. You're not paying for anymore, like trash, like I mentioned for earlier, waste, just different things like that. You're not having as much on the job site itself as much as at the warehouse. And it is a struggle with some of the subcontractors because they're like, so I got to send my guys not to here, they got to go there. But after some while, they understand, okay, it makes sense. And they're doing it. They're actually churning out work faster so they can free up that employee's time to go to another job or so forth like that. They can pick up more work, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And I've got to imagine too. I mean, if I were in their shoes, I would be thinking, here's BakerTriangle, this company that's super progressive. They're winning all these cool projects, all these amazing projects. If I can hook hitch my wagon to them, right, I'm going to benefit, and they're going to feed me work that I wasn't going to get otherwise, right?
Correct. Yep. You're exactly right. Like, yeah. And the owners and architects see who we work with and everything else. So they're going to look at that and see, okay, well, XYZ contractors already worked with them. Why don't we bring them in the pre-discussion before they even got 5% of plans ready to go, type of thing. So
yeah, they're not in a dogfight estimating battle with XYZ electrical, so to speak, right? Necessarily.
Correct. Yep.
Love it. So, is in your estimation, is there a limit to what you can use for prefab work on a project?
I mean, limits. Those don't. We don't. There's no such thing as limits here.
I gotta love that. Oh, that's awesome.
We don't. Yeah, I never heard that term around here. It's like, hey, we have an idea, and let's see if we can run with it and see what we can do with it.
Wow, I absolutely love that. That's your passion shines through, and obviously you're winning and doing projects that are really, really iconic, so to speak. What role does other technology play into this process for you all? Because obviously you don't just trip and fall and accidentally prefab a hospital, right?
Yeah. So, at the very beginning, 10, 12 years ago, the biggest approach was, we started doing the class detection, and it was the collaborations with architects and designers right off the bat before they even got, the DD drawings ready to go. They were saying, hey, we want to modify this, or what do you think about this? And we're like, hey, you know what, you can take this out and speed up this, or, hey, oh no, that you can't do this type of structural right here. You're going to have a problem when it comes to engineering or whatnot like that before it even gets made to the paper. Or even, what we've seen in the past too, is it gets to the job and they're on the job going, you can't build it this way. It's impossible to do. And I can show you why. So that's always been a huge approach, or a big portion of it is all the different types of tech. And we use several pieces of software. I mean, there's so much that comes into it. It's hard to, say like, what piece or whatnot. There's always little pieces. It's a cogwheel that make up, each piece to turn to finalize the product. And we like I mentioned before earlier, with these architects and designers, bringing us in very early to find out these errors and so forth like that before it even gets out to the field or to the general to do their bids and stuff like that. And on top of that, we draw it up for them. They can visually look at it.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? So the owner can say, hey, you want to look at this building at night or during the day? We can do that for you. So, or, oh, you want to add people in this lobby? Sure, we'll mock up some people, eating lunch, everything else. This was, obviously 10 years ago, so it was unheard of type thing. They were doing the little stick models and stuff like that, out of popsicle sticks and stuff. And we're like, no, we can draw you up, put you in there, set the sun at this pace, put clouds in the sky, change out your landscaping, all that type of stuff, virtually.
Well, now you've got goggles, right, that they can put on and actually walk through it, right? You guys do any of that? You gone there yet?
Yeah. You put on an Oculus and let's go, and I'll walk you down. Hold on, let me change a couple things for you real quick. Oh, you want this different finish? We can change it around the fly for you and continue on from there. Or even the biggest thing is, so you look at the wall and you can look at it with the goggles and you can take the sheetrock off and then see where the studs, the electrical's at, everything else to see where, different components are at.
That's truly amazing. I mean, you're literally bringing people's dreams to life, right?
Yeah. Before they even got, the final plans ready to go. And you know how, it prevents change orders, which, everyone loves change orders. So
yeah, right.
So yeah, it's something to help them prevent, those things, so the owner can say, I don't like that. Let's change this, or I don't like this, way beforehand.
Yeah, and I think most of us, we'd rather just do it the right way and the way that we want to do it from the beginning. Nobody wants to tear out the work they completed and redo. Even if there's money in it, I think generally speaking, it's not, companies would rather just drive on and not have to go through that.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. And, it's, you got to demo something twice. You're like, I just spent, 4 weeks in here doing this, and, I got to rip it out and do it with this way now, trying to, yeah, like you said, just let's knock it out, continue on, let's go down the road.
Love that. Yeah. So I mentioned earlier, I always see your LinkedIn posts and not just the awards for longevity for employees, but some of the huge projects that you do. I mean, there's some really cool stuff that BakerTriangle has their stamp on. I did notice, I watched a YouTube video of the Ross Perot Museum of Nature and Science. And in fact, we'll put a link in the show notes because that's a really cool, that's a really amazing project, like nothing I've ever seen. Next time I'm down there, I got to go check this place out. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that? I mean, how did you guys do that job?
So that was probably one of our most, and this job was also 10 years ago. So you got to think, how things were 10 years ago. The renderings, or not even renderings, the architect and some of the designers, they literally drew stuff on cocktail napkins and was like, this is the idea we think of. Is this possible? And all these components and stuff, they're not something you just buy and install. We custom made and mocked up so many different designs for this. If you look in the theater room, which it will show in the video, we put up an aux blue camera to, take time lapse footage of it. You can see the different elevations. It's just the different elevations and everything else, how they want it to look with the cove lighting and everything else. I mean, the structural steel and everything else, we cut out in the steel the elevation to where it needs to be at, what piece it is, and everything else with TD. And the same thing within the lobby ceilings. There was no product that you could buy to install. It was all custom made to make look like sand dunes and everything else. And it literally came from a cocktail napkin. And the video kind of shows you that, and architect kind of shows you the little different things of, hey, we want to kind of do this. And we said, sure. I mean, yeah, we could, we're not following your typical construction here. This is going to be a unique product for Dallas itself. And it is a very beautiful job. When they first opened the museum, they actually had an exhibit dedicated just to the construction of the building. They had different pieces of it, video. They had they had a whole exhibit dedicated just for the construction of the museum, of every little piece and thing that came up to make this an idea.
Yeah, I mean, the video shows this, but you guys actually stamped out sheet metal. Instead of trusses, you actually made these. I mean, they're perfectly cut out, and the drywall, the seal, everything follows the contour, like you mentioned. I mean, it's a sight to behold. And I'm shocked to hear that it was 10 years ago, because that means you guys have been really innovating for a very long time, right?
Yeah, that was I didn't realize that until the other day. I was like, man, yeah, that job's it's been 10 years now and I've been there several times in school field trips with my kid. And I'm just like, it's still already, when you're looking at it, just like, this is a very advanced, just the architecture and everything else. It's different, you know what I mean? And wow, we actually thought of this and built it, from, from not anything else, from a crazy idea.
That's just so, and again, as a father, that's got to make you proud to be walking your son through that project that you guys were able to deliver and really invent almost, right?
Yeah. Just walking nieces and nephews through and saying, how they did this, and pointing up, like, there's different things of how has had to come together. It's just not, something you go all buy off the shelf and put in. It was all custom made, and showing them different things of what makes up this. It's different welding from here to there, to how we had to hang it, the different clips to install. I mean, there's a lot of pieces to it. It's not just like, oh, all they did is put a couple screws and screwed it into the wall. No, that's that's not the case at all.
Wow. Well, and then because of that, what other successes I mean, when you do a project like that, a showpiece, I mean, truly a showpiece, what does that do for your business, or what have you seen from that?
Yeah, we won numerous awards on that one. We've won numerous Eagle Awards as well for some of the other projects. But with that comes with, more architects and owners see, okay, wow, it's doable, this and that. We want to get them involved early on to start pricing out, to see what it's going to take to do my project or whatever else. Or a lot of alternatives, like, I want it to look like this, or if I use this product, what would it look like? Because they already know we've done it, and they're not letting, they don't have to worry about, oh, well, this contractor's never done this type of thing. They've already got experience over here, and willing to take that leap of faith to, come up with, different ideas, or looking at things differently as well.
Well, and it just makes me think back, and I remember, when I first came to your all's office down in Mesquite, and when you guys were going through this, trying to decide what software systems you're going to innovate with, and at that time I think you were an assistant IT director, or you were more of an underling, right, to the role that you're in today. You had to have something in you and your pedigree, just like I think BakerTriangle has in their pedigree, right to the top. Stephen Baker is obviously a masterful innovator and a visionary, right? And you fit that same mold in my mind. And I know you guys deal with 15 or 20 different systems that all work together and integrate. And I mean, it's not just, again, putting a couple screws in some drywall and calling it a business. So what, your path to prefab started long before prefab. So what can a contractor that's listening to this that says, "God, these guys sound amazing, but I could never do that"? I mean, what advice would you give to somebody that's hearing this and has interest in maybe moving that direction?
So, first, it's definitely going to be buy-in from your executive staff, or even partners in your business, as the buy-in. We got to try this out. Your key stakeholders to take, we want to try this out. Like before, this is not a failure. We're going to learn from this. You know what I mean? It's going to go both ways, but it's not a failure. It's not like, oh, we just lost all this money. It's definitely, you want to jump into it. You got to have buy-in from the top down. You can't just have this person, and then everyone else is like, no, because you're going to have all this, I guess you say, negativity towards it. So that, and now that if you want to get into prefab, there's several companies out there now that have prefab, where it's all over the United States now. So I suggest reaching out to, we have sister companies that are similar size to us that we go and visit and, bounce ideas off of. Precision Draw would be one of them that they came to us and we came to them, bounce ideas like, okay, how'd you do this and that? that's another big help now, especially since it's growing. It's going to continue to grow, and it's either you're going to have to adopt. You're going to have to adopt to it. It's not going to go away. I'm going to put it that way. So it's the same. It's the same when I first started here. Nextels, they'll number need cell phones. You got a Nextel, and now look at them. Now all my guys, they have iPads, iPhones. They're tapped in. They're tapped in now. They're not just they just need a Nextel and that's it. No, they got a fleet of tools now. They're not just like, it's not just an iPad. It's an actual tool that they use now. So. But definitely getting that buy-in is a number one key right off the bat. And, I mentioned before earlier to visit some other, and then not just in your region alone either. We went and visited up north, we're in the South, we're in Texas, but we went and looked up north, looked in California and different areas too, because like you mentioned before, we didn't really thought about the weather. It doesn't snow and ice here, but when it does here in Texas, it's a huge, huge deal here, especially ice, because we just don't have the infrastructure, or we don't have we don't have the fleet of dump trucks and, all that stuff to clear the roads out like they do up north and everything else. So we look at the spectacle. We can close your building in faster to do this or that. So to help speed things up. And, you get a baseline from visiting these other places, so you're not just dumping hundreds of thousands of dollars into, they had this CNC machine, we need the same thing.
Okay.
You know what I mean? They could say, you might need a CNC machine, but you don't need this model. You can get actually a better one that does more stuff or this different things. They could tell you those type of things like, you need XYZ, but you don't have to get it with all the bells and whistles. You can do with, this other model or so forth like that. So you're not just jumping in, spending hundreds of thousands of dollars. Or if you want to get into it as well, most of these will actually, we have our own subdivision called Quick Shapes. They actually will design and do majority of the work to ship to you, so you can finish the rest of the product yourself. So we make our own studs type thing. So we can do a lot of different things and then make those components for you and then sell them to you. And then, you can build up your rest. And this is not just related just in Texas. It's everywhere. So I know we do a lot of work up in Colorado and Chicago with some partners up there as well, just delivering components, that we made to, and a lot of these things too, with this prefab comes the BIM and VDC department. They play a huge role in this as well, because they're the ones mocking it up and Revit, AutoCAD, so forth like that, visually in the computer, so you can look and see. It's just there's two major components there to start with. So making sure that you have a department, that you have a person dedicated to that virtualization to start as well.
That's just amazing. I had no idea that you were building components to resell. That's brilliant. And that's a great way in for somebody that wants to get started without all that additional overhead before they, make sure that they're really cut out for that type of no pun intended, really cut out for that type of an approach to their business.
Yeah, we started out with cove lighting like that. That it's pre-assembled. You just glue on site and install wall. What is that called? The wall blocking. I'm sorry, wall blocking. Stuff like that. For like TVs and different things like that. It's all prefab. And we even cut out to where it fits behind the stud perfectly for you. I mean, there's a lot of different things, and your VDC or BIM guy can draw it up for you and say, here you go, which would speed up, in the field installing these different items. Yeah, yeah, it's always interesting because when people ask, hey, where do you work? And I'm like, well, I do IT work on, for a construction company. And they're like, construction? And I'm like, yeah, I love it. I've been fortunately, my father and his father, my grandfather, they ran a general contractor business for about 35 years. So since I was 5, I've always been in the construction around it all. They did major grocery stores and everything else. So that's always been a passion of mine. And this date myself here, but in the 90s, my dad was like, y'all need to start looking at technology. Y'all need to start looking at computers and everything else. And so he put that on us, was like, this is going to be the future. And it was, the .com and all that different thing. We had the bus from that, but, all the different, so I have a huge, heavy, my childhood was around construction. Then I got into computers in 11, and I used to work before this was electrical contractor. And then this opportunity came up, as you mentioned before earlier, I started out as IT help desk, starting out there here. That was, it'll be 15 years next month. And then just grew into numerous different roles until now the director, just having a passion for both, which is, it's fun. You get to see different things getting built, and then seeing what kind of different technologies we can do to improve it, to make it better, faster, or even documenting and everything else.
Yeah, it's truly incredible. It's been fun to watch you continue to fill those shoes that were already big, and I think you've expanded them. And who knows where this is all going to head? But I can guarantee you, BakerTriangle is going to be leading the pack in whatever direction it goes, because you guys just never, you're relentless. You just never stop innovating, and I appreciate that about you as a technology innovator in construction, which we need, and also a partner that we've been able to work with closely. So Cameron, going all the way back, what if there was one thing that you wish you would have known when you first started with BakerTriangle that you now have learned? Is there anything that you wish you could tell yourself back then?
I mean, no, it's been it's a fun wild ride. I'll tell you that. It's been great. I get exposure to a lot of different things, which is really great. I get to help design, just get involved in a lot of different things. I'm not just strictly, you just fix the computer and go on type of thing. So it's very appreciative that, taking input in from different areas of, well, what if we do this or that, what's it going to affect type of thing. So that's been since almost day one here, which has been really, really great. And the culture here, you can't, it's very unique, and I've never really heard it or seen it anywhere else.
Yeah, it is very unique. Well, that's been really fun for me to learn more, and I know the listeners feel the same. What's the one thing, if you could impart words of wisdom to anybody that's listening today, what do you hope they take away from yours and my conversation today?
I hope they get involved with it, and getting with their peers and everything else to look at, this is coming down the road. I mean, this is what's happening already. It's been happening, and it's going to continue. So what can we do to help us get on that so we're not behind the curve, getting that in buy-in, talking to, leadership to, hey, I want, this is a little pet project I want to do. Is it cool if I do, to kind of look into it and see what we can do to make us more efficient within their company, to help it out, just help them stay current.
Love that. That's great advice. So just to wrap up, a couple of quick questions. So what's the most valuable thing that you have learned this last year? I know it's been unique and crazy compared to other years. What did you learn?
So what did I learn? Well, I guess my most valuable thing right now this last year has been sleep. And I'll tell you why. So I had a daughter. I had a daughter this year, and
congratulations!
Right off the bat, you already know how that is. We have a newborn. There's a lack of sleep, so that is the most valuable thing that I believe is the most important thing is sleep. And I'm sure Lindsay would agree with me on that. We both are lacking some sleep, especially we had a rough night last night as well, but it comes with it, but yeah, that's that. And here at the company, it's what's the word I'm looking for? And basically, keeping employees happy and giving them more ownership to things. You want to take on this project? You want to lead this project the way through. I'll give you, advice and everything else to do this project, but I'm gonna let you handle it, all the way point through. So there's a lot of companies I know, like, well, you check in with me when you're done with this or whatever else, and I'll let you know what the next portion is. So kind of giving them more ownership of items to do.
Oh, I love that. That's great. On the sleep side, I promise eventually it'll be worth it. But yeah, I feel your pain. 4 kids of my own and now grandkids. So yeah, it's definitely definitely worth it, but not easy. But love the advice on giving trust to your staff, to your coworkers, to those around you. I think that's how we elevate, right?
Yes, that's exactly right. That's how you're going to elevate and get them not to worry about. You know, you look at life without blinders on. You can't just always be focused on one. You got to look at all the big picture ideas out there.
Love it. All right, last question. So, what product or tool do you think is just critical that you couldn't live without to drive that productivity that you seek every day?
It's this bad boy right here.
Phone,
It
huh?
is my cell phone. I do a lot of things on my cell phone. I can, most people only use it truly for just a phone. I mean, I can do a lot of things off my phone. I can remote in, I can troubleshoot devices. I can do a lot of things from my phone, calendar, look up things. I mean, immediately, as long as there's some type of internet there. But I mean, in my opinion, a phone is, you have trouble with something, I guarantee you there's probably a YouTube video on it. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I need to change a battery and whatever. I guarantee you there's a YouTube video on it nowadays. There's always going to be an article out there that fits 80 to 90% of what you're trying to fix or trying to do. So I think truly that having the phone or the cell phone is, I mean, you have the power of the internet in your hands. You know what I mean? You can research and find anything. And plus, you also have the entertainment too. You can watch TV and right now I'm binging Yellowstone right now. I just started season 1. So at night, and 2, I play games with my son. We play Nerf as well on there as well. So, but yeah, I think a phone is truly, I can pull my calendar up, everything else. And yeah, I mean, you can do a lot off of it. There's times though that I wish I could throw it against the wall and not respond to it. But yeah, that's
right.
just part of
it. You could do that. You could try it.
Yeah.
But you don't want to tick off your IT guy.
Yeah. I got to put a justification form in. I don't know if I want to do that or not.
Right. Well, so one last question. So what's one thing even in your personal life that you're just most grateful for? Does you share that with us? Let us know a little bit about you personally.
Sure, I can. It's Lindsay and my son and daughter right off the bat. She'll never know. I'm extremely appreciative of her and a bunch of different things. There's always there, always supportive. And my son, he's 8, and she's 8 months. So I'm helping them mold them into, to the future of, help them figure out what they want to do in life and, help that path and help him, choose. Not saying he has to go to A&M college or anything. I mean, I know some parents are strict on what college you're going to know. If this is what you want to do, let's try it out. And if it doesn't work out, well, guess what? We tried. It's more than most people have done, so we can try on to something else. So, but yeah, I did those 3 right off the bat, and very, very appreciative of.
Well, I love that, man. You're awesome. You're a great man and a good friend, and I appreciate your friendship, but also your advice and the wisdom that you shared. I know the listeners are going to love this episode. So
awesome. Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Yeah.
All right, buddy. Well, we'll keep in touch. We'll have to do this again down the road. I know you could talk about 10 different topics for sure, but I thought this was a really good one for today. So
yeah, appreciate it.
All right, brother. We'll catch you later.
Thank you for joining us today on the Mobile Workforce Podcast, sponsored by About Time Technologies and WorkMax. If you liked the conversation we had today, or were able to learn anything new or helpful, please make sure to follow us on our WorkMax page on LinkedIn and on Instagram at WorkMax_. And subscribe to the show on iTunes or your preferred podcast platform so you will never miss another insightful episode. Also, if you enjoyed the podcast, please leave us a 5-star rating and review and share the show with your friends and colleagues. Your support means the world to us and will allow us to continue providing impactful information with others looking to improve their results in their business and, in turn, their life.